following program comes from executive producer Lilian Garcia. Every athlete is on this quest. Every performer dives in head first, battling real-life challenges and overcoming obstacles in an effort to make their dreams reality. Singer, songwriter, 15-year WWE host Lilian Garcia was the first woman to ever announce Wrestlemania. And the first to launch her own podcast, which gives you an all-access pass to the human interest stories of elite athletes and extraordinary entertainers. Now, let's embark on another fascinating journey of chasing glory with your host, Lilian Garcia.
Whoa, I am vibrating today. I hope that you are ready for this episode because it is going to be so empowering and so exciting. Welcome to Chasing Glory. Man, wait till you guys see what I have in store for you. I'm telling you, I'm vibrating. And I hope that you will feel this episode as much as I'm about to just share it with you. All right, it's been a tremendous week. And again, I just want to thank you for joining me and following me at Lilian Garcia. Lilian is spelled with one L in the middle. At Lilian Garcia for Instagram and Twitter, and Lilian Garcia official fan page. Also for following the Chasing Glory show, and that is at Chasing Glory Podcast on Instagram. Thank you so much for keeping in touch with us. For your comments, okay, I'm going to start with that because you guys got me vibrating because of all the comments that were coming in from my guest last week, Mojo Rawley. The ones of you that took the time to listen to this episode, man, were you blown away. I told you you would be. So, yeah, this guy is just what a powerhouse, full of lessons, full of hype. When I say hype, it's how he hypes himself up. And so many of you shared with me how it's helping you, and you're looking in the mirror now when things are down and you're hyping yourself up and you're going for it. And talk about somebody who has a determination, so smart. Did you hear his whole story about his academic background and how he was working at Morgan Stanley at such a young age? He was really influenced from a very early age as to the importance of academics, and then tied that in with athleticism. Forget about it. The incredible story of his NFL career, his highs and his lows, and also how it's been going at WWE and the way that he wants to get in there and really make an impact and how he's not going to stop. And what I loved was the fact that you guys were so receptive to that and being like, wow, I didn't know Mojo was all about this. And now I'm a bigger fan of his. And I want you guys to do something. I want you to be a supporter. And when I say that, it's really good to have support. It's amazing to have support. It's really amazing to be the supporter. So I want you to encourage Mojo, write him. One thing is him keeping himself hyped up, but man, he reached out to me in the middle of the week. He goes, oh my gosh, Lil, thank you so much for this interview. I can't believe the reception it's getting and how people are reaching out. He goes, and that is doing so much for me. So yeah, like I said, it's good to be able to hype yourself up, but when you also have encouragement behind you, that is very helpful. So I want you guys to be the supporters and help him out and encourage him to keep that hunger going for the WWE, because I really feel like he is just tipping the iceberg of what he can do. And it's just a matter of time. So Mojo, keep it up. My guest today is an example of what happens after you just keep at it and work hard. Nita Strauss. What a year she has been having. If you guys remember, I had her as my guest early in the year. I didn't really know that much about Nita. Somebody from her organization actually reached out to me and they asked if she could do her Chasing Glory story. And when I looked at her story, I was like, whoa. this is a really amazing chick. And just so like powerhouse, playing for Alice Cooper, a lot of things that she had already done, but I didn't know that much about her. She came on my show. She was so great. Her story, so incredible. Then she told me, whoa, I shared so many things that I didn't even know about myself, which was so awesome. That's what the show is all about, right? Is that we learn things about ourselves. I've learned things about myself doing the show. But anyway, so then afterwards, yep, you saw it. She actually played while Shinsuke Nakamura was coming down to the ring. Wrestlemania. Amazing. And so today we talk about that whole story, how that came to be. But not only that, where she was like 3 years ago, how low of a point she was at, and especially with being an alcoholic, to then fast forward 3 years later, she's playing at WrestleMania. So you're going to hear that journey, which is so empowering. And then also she played at Evolution. Yeah, only just, doing the intro at Evolution to kick everything off, just so badass. And then she drops her album. Guys, I was at her CD release party, which we actually talk about too. But I was at her CD release party, and right then I got to introduce her, which was so special. She's sitting there crying when I'm introducing her. She was so touching as to what that meant to her, and it meant so much to me. Like I told her, I've introduced so many matches, yet I had so many chills introducing her to the stage. And then right after the show, her record that had dropped at midnight that very moment went to number 12. And then not even an hour later, it went to number 7. I mean, it was so special to be with her when all of this is happening. She's got tears in her eyes. She had to sit down for a moment and just soak it all in. She had all her fans around. It was just a beautiful, beautiful moment. But that is because she has worked so hard. She picked up the guitar when she was around 13 years old. She's 32 now. She has really been working at it every single day. She is quite the shredder. And now she's got her first album that she has done on her own. Well, when I say on her own, I mean it's an instrumental. It's just her. It's not her and Alice Cooper, but she did it with the help of a bunch of you out there that were part of her Kickstarter campaign, which she really inspires me about the whole Kickstarter idea. We talk about that in the interview. So there's a lot to share. You're really going to go for a ride. And I say, guys, I hope that this really continues to be an inspiration to all of you. Continue to work hard. Just focus on the things that you can control. I know that things don't, automatically always go the way that you want them to go. But when you learn in the struggle, what you really reach down in the struggle, those are the things that are magical. Those are the things. That's what she kept saying too, is she kept getting through those struggles and those walls and those barriers. And she was in a male-dominated industry with playing guitar. And she kept on and she's like, I will work so hard that I leave no doubt. I work so hard that I leave no doubt. I remember that. So that inspires me to work so hard that I leave no doubt. So take that to your, whatever it is that you guys are doing in your lives, in your dreams, to your careers. Woo, like I said, I am fired up. And something else that I'm fired up about is, I'm so excited to share this with you, is the fact that Four Sigmatic is an official sponsor of Chasing Glory. Now, what is Four Sigmatic? Four Sigmatic, think about this. If I told you about something that was going to help your immune system, your energy level, and your longevity, what would you say to me? I know what you'd say to me. You'd say, I want in. What if I told you that it had to do with coffee or hot cocoa or matcha? Then you'd be like, wait, something that's actually good for me. It helps my immune system. It helps my energy level and my longevity. And it tastes good too. Tell me about it. All right. So it is called Four Sigmatic. Now, Four Sigmatic, what it has, it's all mushroom based. Mushrooms for centuries have been helping so many people. They have lion's mane, which promotes productivity, focus, and clarity. This is coffee, but without the jitters. All right, so it's balanced stimulation. It tastes like coffee, not just like mushrooms. And it's used by the Buddhist monk to help them focus on meditation. That is the lion's mane. They also have the Four Sigmatic coffee with chaga, which helps productivity, focus, and clarity. As you can tell, this is kind of like the common theme, which helps you with the clarity. Also, they have coffee with cordyceps. Now, cordyceps help your immune function. So aside from supporting energy, stamina, and athletic performance, cordyceps have been studied for their strong antioxidant properties. On top of all of that, they also have a mushroom lemonade mix. Now, what is that? Woo, that sounds amazing. That is lemonade with charcoal and chaga, and it helps your digestion, your skin well-being, and also to detox. So what I'm saying, bottom line, they have a lot of different products that can help you in some way, form, or another. Mushrooms are incredible. Give it a try. And for all my listeners out there, I'm so excited to share this with you because you are all going to get 15% off your orders. All right, how do you do that? You go to foursigmatic.com/glory. So you put in FOUR. Sigmatic is SIGMATIC.com/glory. You do that and you shop there and you will automatically get 15% off everything you choose. So this holiday season, it's time to, feel better, do something good for yourself, give for gift ideas. These are great stocking stuffers, by the way. foursigmatic.com/glory. And then another one of our sponsors that I'm so thrilled to also share is FabFitFun. Now, what is FabFitFun? It is a seasonal subscription box with full-size beauty, fitness, fashion, and lifestyle products. So you men out there, I'm going to give you the tidbits right now as to how to get in good with your mother, your sister, your wife, your girlfriend, or even your friend. And for you ladies out there, you're absolutely going to want to hear this because this is good for you and also for a friend. And guys, just hang on because there's something in it for you as well, personally. All right, so FabFitFun, it is a box that comes 4 times a year. It's like having Christmas 4 times a year. But now that it is the holidays, now you know what to get your loved ones. So here it is. 4 times a year, you get this box that comes in full of products, over $200 worth of products in there. And what do you pay? You only pay $49.99. And for my Chasing Glory listeners out there, you're going to get $10 off your first box. So now it's only $39.99. So let me give you the code and then I'll tell you exactly more information about this. All you have to do is go to fabfitfun.com. Fab, F-A-B-F-I-T, fun. So let me try to spell that again. It's like everybody knows how to spell fun. FABFITFUN. There you go. FABFITFUN.com. Then you put in the coupon code when you go to checkout, just put in GLORY. There you go. You're all set for $10 off your first box. So the winter box is what we're talking about right now. And what I say, I'm going to tell you about the winter box for the women, but just so you know, when you sign up for the subscription, guys, you get to get a box. So boom, making it a win-win. And for ladies, when you get the box, then you can get your guys a box. So that way you get one either for yourself or for like your sister or anybody else, your friend. And then you can get one also for a male that's in your life. Okay, so I'm all setting you up. These products are amazing. Glam Glow, Kate Somerville, Anthropology, Juice, Vince Camuto, there's Bear Paw, Free People, and there's all these amazing name brands, Chi, and every box is a complete surprise. Or some items are customizable. So either you can have it a full surprise or you can custom build your box with some of the products. All I'm saying is it's a lot of fun in a box. FabFitFun.com and then use the coupon code GLORY for $10 off. Go now, get your shopping all over and done with. All right, I've told you about all these great sponsors. Thank you so much to Four Sigmatic and to FabFitFun. And now thank you guys for listening. And here we go. Woo! Here is Nita Strauss's continued journey of chasing glory. Born and raised in the City of Angels, Nita Strauss knows all about succeeding in a male-dominated environment. Nita's family is no stranger to music, as her dad was a bass player and her mother was a dance teacher, and is even an ancestor to Austrian composer, the waltz king himself, Johann Strauss. Nita was only 13 years old when she first started playing guitar after being inspired by the Ralph Macchio movie Crossroads, and just 2 years later, she was part of the Warped Tour and at 16 had her first national tour. In 2010, she embarked on a short yet memorable African tour with Jermaine Jackson and has been dazzling audiences all over the globe, being a member of the reformed band Femme Fatale as well as the cover band The Iron Maidens. After being the in-house guitarist for the Los Angeles Kiss Arena football team, she became the touring guitarist for Alice Cooper, as well as making history by becoming the first ever female Ibanez signature artist, and was named by Guitar World #1 of female guitar players you should know. In another example of worlds colliding, Nita, a die-hard wrestling fan, would appear at Wrestlemania 34, playing out WWE superstar Shinsuke Nakamura, and would also perform with Lizzie Hale at the groundbreaking event WWE Evolution. Nita most recently celebrated the release of her debut album, Controlled Chaos, which has already hit the top 10 and is currently on a nationwide tour until the end of the year. It's about to get real, raw, and inspiring with Nita Strauss. All right, here we are. I love this. I love it when I get to re-catch up with someone, and this was an interview that I absolutely loved having. This was at the beginning of the year, and now Nita Strauss is back on Chasing Glory. Welcome.
I am so excited to get to catch up, and I said this on Twitter, and I'll say it again. Our interview was one of the best I have ever been a part of, because we went so in depth and so many new things and different things I never got to talk about.
Thank you. You know, I hope you don't mind me asking you this, because I heard that you actually got emotional afterwards.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I left the office, and it wasn't that I didn't want to cry in front of you, because it wasn't really that. It wasn't until I stepped out into the hallway outside of your old office that I literally just stopped and I just started crying. Like, tears just started flowing down my face, and Josh kind of looked at me. He's like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And I was like, there were so many things we talked about, you know, and if anyone hasn't listened to this episode, they'll have to go back and re-listen to it.
Yeah, it's amazing. I encourage it.
Just talking about, you know, the relationship with food, and you know, how being competitive and, you know, being in competitive sports as a child was something that carried on into my drive to be, you know, the musician that I am today. And literally what I learned about myself in that interview is something that I've like sort of taken with me and embraced as a part of my identity now.
Really?
It was a formative part of who I am.
Wow.
Really.
So you had never really discussed that before, or really kind of like dissected it?
Not only had I not discussed it, I hadn't even really thought about it, you know, because the type of questions that you were asking were things that it was almost like something that you would ask in therapy, you know, as someone would say, so you felt like this, why did you feel like that? And I never had anyone ask me, you know, why do you think it is that you felt so stubbornly about dropping out of school and pursuing music? And wouldn't it have been easier to do this? What drove you to do that? What was your childhood like? And I was like,
yeah.
Oh my gosh, I never even thought about this. And now, you know, I see kids that don't do competitive sports, or that, you know, like that are doing the iPads and the Nintendo Wii instead of going out there and you know, doing martial arts or doing sports. And I think these kids are going to grow up to be like, you know, I see a lot of adults now.
You're absolutely right. Mm-hmm. And I worry about that. I see that so much, where kids are not out and about, and they're not getting to experience what it is to have competition. And, you know, we talk about actually competition, and I don't know how you feel about this, but, you know, Stone Cold and I, we talked about this, how we personally don't feel like every competitor should get a trophy.
I completely agree. I could not agree more. I don't like the participation trophy.
Yeah.
I don't like that. That's a very millennial concept to say, like, you know, as long as you try, that's enough. And of course, as long as you try it, I mean, technically, of course, it is enough, and you should encourage your children and anyone in your life to try and fail and try again. But if you just get something every time you try it, it doesn't really encourage you to try all that hard. And, growing up doing competitive sports, I learned, I think I said this on the podcast last time, that no one can do your push-up for you.
Yeah,
no one can practice for you. No one can, like when I picked up the guitar, I didn't expect it to be easy because I knew that nothing comes easily. Nothing worth having comes easily. You have to practice, and no one can buy it. If your parents are wealthy, they can't buy somebody to practice for you. They can't buy those hours. Like everything that you do, you have to put in the time. Mm-hmm. Same thing with working out too, with anything.
I remember from that interview, you were talking about how working out, because you had admitted you were an alcoholic and you got cleaned.
Yes.
And that's huge. And how has that recovery been?
It's been amazing. I feel like when I first quit drinking, it was like my body took this sigh of relief, like, and along with that sigh of relief went all this water weight and all this baggage and all this emotion. No one is at their highest functioning when they're drinking every day, And I wasn't the type of alcoholic that, would wake up in the morning and reach for a warm bottle of vodka on the bedside. But I was the type of alcoholic that couldn't function well without a drink. Like, if I was in any kind of social situation or playing shows or doing anything, which I do every day of my life, I'm on stage. I couldn't function well without having, a cocktail or a beer or whatever. Mm-hmm. So once I cut that out of my life, I realized life is not all that dramatic. Nothing is really as big of a deal as I thought it was. Yeah. And, physically, like my skin got better. I lost a ton of weight. My hair started growing faster. My nails got stronger. Like everything about it was just like, my body was like, thanks for getting with the program. Yeah. It was about time.
Yeah, for sure. So tell me a little bit about the program itself. Like, how does it help alcoholics? And the reason I ask that is, like, for example, your experience with it, because I know that there's some people that have had this problem and they've had to go numerous times before it sinks in. I
have actually not been through the program. Like, I don't go to meetings. I've actually never been to one, which I would love to, because I think it's important to have a supportive community around you, whatever you do.
Yeah.
But when I first got sober, I was on the road. I was on tour with Alice Cooper and Motley Crue, and I felt so shy, even to talk to people that I know that I'm close with, much less go to a meeting with a bunch of strangers, in a country, some random city that I've never been to. I never felt comfortable enough to share my experience with a bunch of people I didn't know. Now I think I could, but now it's been a little over 3 years, so I feel pretty solid in it. But the thing that drove me, and the thing that still drives me today to stay sober, is all the blessings that have come into my life since this happened. Not only was it, I lost weight and I looked better and I stopped fighting with my boyfriend, but I felt like God told me, now you're ready to accept these blessings that are coming into your life. And if I started drinking now and kind of throwing that back in Josh's face, and everyone's believed in me, and all the, the supporters over the years on social media that have said, like, you getting sober gave me the courage to get sober, and you doing this shows me that I can do it, that if you can do it with your schedule and your craziness, that anybody can do it. I feel like I would be throwing it all back in everybody's face, and I can't do that. I can't do it at this point.
So that's like your support system right there.
It's
the fans that are around you.
Yeah, and I had two great people around that I could ask, which are Alice and Nikki Sixx.
Now, are they clean?
Yeah, Alice is sober over 30 years, and I think Nikki at least 10, if not 15 or 20.
Wow.
Yeah. And Nikki Sixx was as bad off as anybody could possibly be.
Right.
So to have both of those people there to, sort of lean on and say, like, hey, you've been through this, what did you do and what can I do, was something that most people don't get a chance to ask.
Yeah.
To ask their hero who's been through the same thing. There were 3 of my heroes that have gotten clean and sober that I got to ask for advice were Alice Cooper, Nikki Sixx, and Zakk Wylde.
Wow.
3 legendary rock stars that I've had the opportunity to chat with and say, look, you've done this. What can I expect? What can I do? How can I make sure I stay on this path? And each one had different advice, and each one was helpful in their own way.
Yeah. So do you remember that moment? Can you take us back to that moment where you said, that's it, I'm changing my life?
Yeah. We were in New Orleans, and I had already promised to stop drinking a few times and never gotten, I love that you were just like getting me right back into this emotional place right out of the gate. I'm gonna cry for you this time. Okay. But Josh and I got in this. You know, I had not drank for like 3 or 4 weeks from the last fight that we had where I said I'm not drinking anymore, and then we were in New Orleans, and it was my first time actually being in New Orleans, like hanging out and doing stuff, and he said, hey, we're going to go out to Bourbon Street with my friends tonight. And Josh has always, throughout the entirety of my sobriety, from the very early stages until today, he is very much, he's like a tough love type. He's like, look, you're on this path and I support you, but I'm not changing the way I do things at all. So I'm going to go to the bar. If you want to come, you can come. If you want to stay home by yourself, you can stay home by yourself.
Right.
And I'm kind of glad in retrospect that he did that, because it threw me into the fire and showed me like, hey, you can be here and not drink.
Was he drinking or not?
He was. Yeah,
okay.
He has continued to drink throughout.
But he didn't want you to drink.
But he didn't want me to drink, because when I would drink, I would start fights and I would get emotional and I would, overreact to stupid things like you do when you drink.
Right.
It's part of part of drinking. It heightens all your emotions and everything. So we went out but I said, hey, we're in New Orleans. I'm going to drink with you and your friends. And we went out to Bourbon Street, and of course, ended up getting in a fight. And by the end of the night, we just separated from each other. I was like, he walked off and I walked off, and there we were in another city. He's from there, but I had never been there. Like, I found my way back to the hotel, which, funny enough, was the same hotel we stayed in for Mania. So it was really full circle. Yeah. And then he came in at 5 o'clock in the morning and just said, look, I don't want you in my life anymore if it's going to be like this. I cannot have, we loved each other. We've always loved each other. But he said, if this is how it's going to be, you have to choose. And you have to choose once and for all. And this is something that had been going on with my parents, with, the band, with everybody around me for a long time. And he said, look, if this is the path that you want to go on, feel free, but I can't support you on this, and I can't be with you if this is how you're going to be. And I was crying, still half drunk. I was like, okay, that's fine. If that's what it is, nothing's more important to me than love. There's nothing, and who knows? Who knows if he really would have left me on that day and left me in New Orleans or not. Right. But, I wasn't willing to take that risk. It took somebody, really slamming the door and saying, this is a final ultimatum. You do it or you don't do it. And that's it. And once I stopped drinking, my parents called him and thanked him. The guys in the band, everyone knows, they're like, you look great. And all of a sudden I'm sleeping through the night. I'm not in these fits of rage all the time and freaking out about stupid stuff. And I just feel so clear-headed, and the biggest mental takeaway was that not everything is that big of a deal.
Yeah. So how the heck did you do it, though? You made that decision, but what is the first thing that you did?
I started going to the gym. And making myself wake up early and go to the gym, because I thought, if I'm going to go down this path and I'm going to sacrifice something, I want it to be worth it. Yeah. So I sort of traded one addiction for the other, and I started getting up early and going to the gym, which when you're drinking vodka and beer every night and eating pizza late at night and doing all this stuff, you're not getting up at 7 o'clock in the morning and working out. Yeah. But then when I stopped drinking, I was like, oh, I can get up at 7 easily, and I still do to this day. I'll get up at 7, 6:30 or 7, I'll do my workout and then I'll start my day. And being able to do that kind of put me in that mindset as well. 'Cause, it's kind of the same principle as if you're working out a lot, you don't really want to eat as unhealthily because you're like, oh, I just did a great workout. Why am I going to spoil it with this? Mm-hmm. So that was huge.
Yeah. So did you have any urges, though, at any times?
All the time.
Yeah.
Even now. We were just at the Saints bar that Josh likes to go to. He's a huge New Orleans Saints fan. He likes to go to a Saints bar here in Hollywood and watch the games on Sundays. And I turned to him and I was like, I really feel like having a beer with you right now. And he looked at me, he's like, are you going to? And I was like, no, but I just wanted to tell somebody. Yeah. I don't have a sponsor. I had a girlfriend who was in the program who passed away recently. And that has been really hard because she was the person that I would text when I would feel weak. Because there's a weakness that comes along with sobriety, as you know.
Yeah.
And sometimes you feel like I want it and I shouldn't have it and I feel weak for wanting it. And she was the person I would text, and like I would just go to the bathroom, you know, at parties or bars or restaurants where everybody's drinking wine or something. I would just go to the bathroom quietly and just take a deep breath and text her and say, I really want to have a drink right now. And she would come back, always text right back with something inspiring or, you know, something that would kind of get me out of that funk. So it's been hard lately without her.
What happened?
She took her own life a few months ago. And she was the singer in one of my bands. She was my sober sister.
Oh my God.
And the weight of the world just seemed very heavy on her. And she passed away.
Did you see it coming?
I did not see it coming. I think people closer to her than me may have. To me, I would have seen it coming. Her name was Jill Janis. She was the singer of a band called Huntress. And she was the singer in my cover band, the Starbreakers. And if you had told me this news about Jill 2 years ago, when we were both still, I guess I wasn't partying at that time, but she was still drinking, you know, doing drugs, partying, you know, I would have said, yeah, that makes sense because she was, you know, she was also a party girl. But she was really happily sober. Like she had gotten sober on New Year's Day of this last year of 2018. And she had confided in me so many times, you know, and when I would tell her how hard it was for me, she would go, I don't feel that. I don't feel that it's that hard because I love how I feel being sober. And so it came as a surprise when it happened, yeah.
Oh man, how did it affect you?
It's, you know, losing a friend is hard, but losing somebody that, you know, like she was a trailblazer in the music industry. She, you know, she played in a heavy metal band, you know, you would have loved Jill, Lilian. Like she had this, you know, this super rebellious attitude, you know. She had a 4-octave incredible vocal range.
Oh, wow.
So she could sing anything from opera to crazy heavy metal, crazy highs, crazy lows. She would do 4 octaves in our show.
Wow.
Easily. And I first met her on tour in 2008, or 2008 or 9. And she was going around. They were the first band on the bill, you know, the first band out of 6. So they were going on at, you know, 6:30 in the afternoon every day. And she was going around directing everyone. By the way, you guys can't smoke in here. I have a 4-octave range. I need to save my voice. And telling all the
It is true.
And by the time we got to a band together, she had learned that she had to tell people she had asthma. So I have asthma, so you can't smoke.
Yeah, there you go.
And the last show we played together was at the Viper Room here in Hollywood, and she went off on the owner of the club and said, it says very clearly on the door, no smoking. And everybody would look at her like she was this beautiful little blonde, you know, but when she got in her zone, she would just say, look, it says on the door, I have asthma, I'm singing this band. If this doesn't stop right now, we're not going on stage. And everyone was like, yes, ma'am.
Man, I should have taken that up.
Super boss.
Literally, I would walk into clubs, so many clubs, and there'd be smoking. Obviously, this is before the ban, and thank God they have the ban. And I was like, what the hell? How are we supposed to be functioning?
How can we function?
Right.
Even as a guitar player, it's hard.
I'm sure, as a guitar player, and I think of bartenders, you know, they still smoke in Vegas, and I'm like, how is this happening?
Oh, it's absurd.
I go to, you know, when I'm going through the casino in Vegas, I'm like, ugh, get me out of here.
Your clothes smell funky, and your hair smells funky. Yeah. And you feel like you have a cough.
I feel bad for the workers.
How is it for you using your voice for a living? It must be like when you're doing ring announcing and stuff like that. It must be so hard.
Even going back for Evolution, when I was ring announcing, I was like, wow, I'm out of practice. Like, you can tell.
You couldn't tell from the audience. I was out there watching you.
No, but I'm saying afterwards, I remember that night afterwards, I was like, wow, I could really tell as far as definitely, you know, using the voice and when you use it and not use it. And
you have to project a lot more, right?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
What do you, I know that I'm the interviewee here, but I'd like to know, like, what do you find vocally is the difference between, like, something like this, like where you're interviewing and chatting, and when you're announcing? Like, what do you do differently?
So it is different, for sure. I remember when I first started and I was trying to figure out how do I do the whole ring announcing and then also singing, right? But it's the same exercises, like the same warm-up exercises. Sure. But for sure, when I project in ring announcing, it is a little tougher than singing.
Is it really?
It's tougher,
Interesting.
Yeah. Because speaking is a lot harder on the voice than singing.
Okay. I wouldn't have thought that.
Yeah. Speaking, as a matter of fact, that's why a lot of singers, if they get into trouble, the first thing the doctors say is stop talking.
Vocal rest.
Right, stop talking. My vocal coach would be like, yep, stop talking, but we're going to have a session, we're going to vocalize. And so you vocalize to vibrate the chords.
Sure.
Especially if you have vocal nodules or something like that, you can vibrate the chords and vibrate them off.
Right.
Which are like calluses, right? But speaking is very hard on the voice.
And I imagine too, you have to enunciate so much when you're speaking to a big crowd like that with the slap back in the arena.
That and then the names. You have to put so much punch in the name.
Yeah.
You know, and I always had this little rocker thing that I love to do the name, you know, so Nita Strauss. So when I do the Strauss, there's a little, you know, growl. And
will you do that for me at my CD release party?
Oh my God,
would
yes,
you really?
Yes. Oh my God.
I would die.
So speaking of, we got to get back to you. Like, what a year this has been for you.
Oh my gosh.
Since the last interview, at that time, WrestleMania had not happened, and boom, you performed at WrestleMania.
Right.
So talk to us about that real quick.
Oh my gosh, WrestleMania was absolutely unforgettable. Like, I'm not going to ever forget anything about that day.
Yeah.
There are days there are events that are unforgettable that you're like, this was really cool and I remember the event, but I remember everything from waking up that morning to getting there, to taking, walking over, getting in the Uber, taking my guitar, where we met the guys. I remember every little detail. And the funniest little detail that I love so much, I love this story so much, was remember I told you the day I got sober, we were in New Orleans, staying at the same hotel, same exact hotel, right outside. We were playing at the Smoothie King Center, which is the arena next to the stadium where WrestleMania was. And that morning, the morning that would become my last night before I got sober, I woke up and I opened the curtains of the hotel room and I looked out and I saw this massive structure. And I looked at Josh, I was like, oh, is that where we're playing? And he looked up from the bed, he's like, no, that's the Superdome. You're playing next door.
Oh my God.
Which is still a huge arena. That's where they did Raw the next night and stuff.
Right.
But oh this time, I opened up the curtains. This last year, in 2018, when we were there for Mania, I opened up the curtains. I looked at him. I was like, Josh, I pointed. And he's like, that's where we're playing. And I go, is that where I'm playing? And he looked up from the bed. He goes, yep. Exactly the same way. And we had almost the same view. I mean, it was uncanny. Like, we were a couple floors higher, but it was almost the identical view. And it was such a cool moment. And again, we talk about these little blessings and, the way that things come into your life. And it was so perfect that, it was the exact, almost the room where on the day that I made that change in life, to come back full circle and say, you're in the same place and now you're playing the big place.
Yeah.
It was just, I have chills thinking about it.
Right. It's like where life takes you, but
yeah, if you ask for a sign, it doesn't get any clearer of a sign than that.
Yeah.
Like aside of a piano falling out of the sky.
Right. Well, it is because you chose 3 years ago to get sober.
Yeah.
And there you were in New Orleans. And then it's like, okay, here we go. 3 years later, you're performing at the Dome.
At the Dome.
Wow. So just to catch anybody up who doesn't know, you can actually look this up. You actually played Shinsuke Nakamura to the ring. And wow, what a moment. I was so happy. I remember seeing you.
I saw you, and you were like, what are you doing here? I was like, oh, I can't talk about it. Just hanging out. We didn't tell anybody until after it had happened. Even the people that we knew in WWE, they were all like, what are you guys doing here? We're like, we're hanging out, because we didn't really know how the protocol was at that time, and still, feeling it out. But if they say don't tell anybody, we're not going to tell anybody.
Right.
Up until the moment of truth,
Right. Yeah.
Even though I'm sure an hour before it wouldn't have hurt to tell somebody that we know that's close to us.
Yeah.
It's still just one of those things of, well, they said don't.
You don't want to blow it. You don't want to take a chance to blow it.
Imagine.
For them to go, never mind. We told you not to say anything. And
exactly.
Fine. You can't keep a secret. You're
Imagine that we had just said to someone in passing, hey, oh my God, what are you doing here? I'm playing Shinsuke's music as he walks out of the ring. And then we don't tell that person it's a secret, and then that person tweets it out. So excited to watch Nita play.
Yes.
It just turns into a whole thing. So we thought best to just keep it.
What a great lesson, though, for anybody out there. I always tell people, Just talk less.
You'll never regret talking less.
Yeah.
You'll never regret talking less.
Yeah. So from that, I mean, so much has happened because after that you started the Kickstarter. Actually, it started right before that.
Just a couple days before that was the Kickstarter.
It's Kickstarter, because you had talked about the fact that you wanted to do your own album.
Yeah.
And how many years has this been that you've talked about it?
Too many.
Yeah.
Too many years. You know, and it was one of those things, it's always been my dream to make a record of my own and make an instrumental record, because I was a weird kid, as we've talked about. You know, I was a weird kid that had a hard time making friends, that didn't, you know, I wasn't the most outgoing person. I wasn't, you know, I could never find the right words to say, you know, when I was a kid in school meeting new people, and still now, but mostly then.
Yeah.
And I realized when I started playing guitar that when I played guitar, people listened. You know, I might not be able to find the right words to say. I might not have the nicest clothes. You know, my sister and I grew up going to a private school where our mom was the teacher in the school. So we were two kids being raised essentially by a single mom, you know, who was just on a teacher's salary in this fancy private school, you know, where kids were getting Range Rovers and, you know, Mercedes for their 16th birthday and stuff. And I always had a really hard time fitting in to that crowd. But I realized if I played guitar, that was my way of expressing myself. And I've always been better at expressing myself through guitar than through words. And so when I finally had a little time this year, when I played with Alice Cooper as my day job, best day job ever.
Right.
And when he decided to take the summer to tour with another band, I thought, this is my opportunity. And Josh was like, you better take this. This is a gift.
But I know he didn't want to do the Kickstarter. Oh, no,
I didn't want to do the
Kickstarter, right?
Yeah,
and he was trying to convince you to
Yes. He thought, you know, Josh, the visionary, has always had this. He's had the Kickstarter idea for a couple years now. And I always thought that it seemed like begging, if it's a strange way to say it. But, you know, I didn't want to, you know, I felt like I'd have to swallow my pride and ask for money, which is something I don't like to do. I can't think of the last time I asked somebody for money.
Right.
You know. But if you don't think of it as, hey, I'm begging for money, and if you know, because realistically, I could have made the album with no support if I had to. But if you say, rather than like, I need this and I can't function, I can't do it without it, if you say, hey, you know what, I'm doing this and I want you guys to be a part of it. I'm taking it to the fans, making this album for you, and I'm going to come up with some amazing perks along the way. So it gives you guys access to something that you wouldn't normally have.
Right.
It gives me a little cushion to say, okay, I can afford to do this, you know, and still pay my bills. And and it turned into this amazing experience with the fans where you go, you know, everyone has heard these quotes of saying rock and roll is dead and people don't support new music, and the only way that you can succeed is to be a legacy artist like Kiss or Alice Cooper or Guns N' Roses. But the reality is, if you give them something to support that they want to support, people will get behind it, and they could spend their hard-earned money on anything, you know, and I'm fully aware of that they, you know, people have bills, they have expenses, they want to go see movies, they want to buy new clothes, and for anybody to open up their wallet and just put $10 in towards funding this record was a huge honor. It was an incredible honor. And for them to do it in such high numbers for so many people, we had almost 2,000 backers by the end of it, and we were 800% funded. And, you know, that really goes to show you, like, if you work hard and you show people that you're willing to work and you give them something that they want to believe in, they will support you. Yeah. And that's, you know, I don't even like saying fans. I always try to avoid using the word fans, but we're like a family. We're like a community, and we stick together. And they know I'll donate to their Kickstarters too. Right. A lot of the time, you know, if I see something, you know, someone has a sick pet or, you know, wants to go run a marathon or something, I'm like, let me get in on this. Like, we've been so blessed. How can we not return that?
Right. Support each other for sure. And
now I'm going to get all these people. But it's true.
It is. And you guys, like, in 30 days, you raised, what,
166,000.
Oh, my God.
We asked for 20, which is, as you know, a very modest budget to make a full record. And 20 grand would have covered the recording, the studio rental, the mixing, the mastering, the pressing of the CDs, the printing of the T-shirts, a little bit of press and promotion for the album, and just to try to get us on the radio and get some interviews and stuff. And then hopefully, if we had enough left over, would cover the beginnings of a little tour. And before I pressed send, before I pressed post to make it live, I was thinking to myself, how much of my own money can I afford to put into this if it fails, if no one cares? I guess my number that I had in my head was $5,000. I was like, if people really don't care, I guess I can just buy one of my own, because Kickstarter is all or nothing.
Yeah.
So I guess I can just buy one of my own things and put my own money in. So maybe we can get to the finish line and get this thing going. So I pressed live. I posted about it on my social medias. And then Josh and I went to the gym. We were already in New Orleans for Mania. So we went to the gym where he's from, near New Orleans. And we broke the $20,000 goal before we left the gym.
Oh my God.
Before we left the gym, I ran through the gym in the tiny town in Louisiana where he's from, like a maniac, Lilian, waving my phone. And this was like the gym where like all of his, his high school and college friends work out. I'm like, oh my God. Like Rocky, we did it. Yo, Adrian. And he was like, what crazy person? And then he saw it and he's like, oh my God. Like, it was just absolutely mind-blowing. And from that, it just kept climbing. We doubled it by that evening, and we doubled it by the next day, and we tripled it in 48 hours. And by that point, we go, okay, people care.
Yeah.
They showed us, we asked, do you care? And they said, we care.
God, that's my biggest hesitation. That's it, because people have talked to me about doing Kickstarter.
Right.
And I've been getting in my own way.
That was me for years. That was me for years. And I think, we can ask the fans right now. We can ask them right here on the podcast. If we did this, I think you'd be shocked how many people would come out to support. Because it's hard to do something like this for fear of failure.
Yeah.
For fear of saying, what if I have a party and nobody comes?
Right.
What if, which has happened to me.
And I always tell people, push through fear. Push through fear.
Yeah. But, if I was to give you or anybody listening advice about doing Kickstarter, it's make it an experience. Make it something fun for people. One of my perks was a Skype call, a 10-minute Skype call.
Yeah.
So I've been calling people, and I was so reserved about doing the Skype thing because I was like, oh, it's going to be weirdos, people answering the phone naked or something. And literally, every single one has been lovely. It has been so wonderful. I wish I could do more. Maybe when my schedule clears up, I'll offer more Skype calls, because it's been everything from people wanting to learn some guitar tricks, which was what I was mostly expecting, and then people that just want to show me around their house. We train dogs. I wanted to show you some tricks that our dogs that we train do.
Yeah.
I know you like dogs. So one guy said, I have a little prop plane, I'm an amateur pilot. I want to show you my plane.
Wow.
Just little ways of interacting with people. And, and some of them have been business propositions. Oh, yeah, I have this product.
Really?
I'm like, okay, well, you paid $100 for a meeting then.
Right,
to take a meeting. But it's all just, different ways of interacting with people and making fun experiences. The other fun one, which we're actually starting next week, is I said, Josh and I will take you out to dinner at our favorite pizza place.
Yes.
Yeah. And people were like, yeah, we want to come have pizza with you guys. I was like, really? I think we sold out of pizza days the first day.
And are you guys going to do that individually? How's that, or is it?
So we planned 2 group pizza days, and that's for people that are traveling for the album release party, which is on the 15th. So we said, if you want to come on the same time, so you're not traveling twice, we'll do one the day before and one the day after the album release party, which is actually really cool because the one the day after is going to be on the actual album release date.
Oh, that's awesome.
The 16th. So whoever supported the Kickstarter and did the pizza pledge will actually get to have dinner with me the day the album is released.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Wow.
And then the rest will be individual. I don't mind eating pizza multiple times. It works for me.
Right, it gives you an excuse.
Exactly.
Sorry,
I have to go to the pizza place. They don't have salads here.
Right. Man, and it doesn't stop, because then you have your signature guitar that now is one of the top sellers.
Yeah, the signature guitar is blowing up, which is an honor. I'm the first female to have a signature guitar with this company. And the company doesn't give them out lightly. Where a lot of other companies will have a couple hundred signature artists, this one is 20, I think. I may be number 21.
Wow.
It's a very small signature roster. And to be the first female to have that, I've been with Ibanez Guitars over 10 years, and I'm very thankful that, to give somebody the first female one, I'm glad they didn't bring in an outsider. I'm glad it shows a lot about them that they were loyal to me and they said, you've represented us well for a long time and we're going to give this to you.
Wow. And I saw a post where actually they had, was it Eddie's guitar?
Yeah, the Van Halen guitar. It's right next to mine outside Guitar Center. I came straight from there to here, actually, so I just saw it again.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, if you go to the Hollywood Guitar Center location, which is like their flagship
So funny,
store.
I was just there yesterday. I didn't know that your guitar is there.
Yeah, it's right there in the front.
Oh, shoot, I should have, okay.
I gotta go back and look.
Yeah.
It's right when you walk up to the Hollywood Guitar Center. If you look to the left, my guitar is the first one in the display on the left. It's Eddie Van Halen's guitar and then mine. And I cried, I cried, and I just, I grew up going to that store.
Yeah.
I grew up putting my hand in the handprints outside the Hollywood Guitar Center, and to see my guitar there, it's just so much validation.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Are there days at all that it's hard for you to rehearse or anything like that? Like
It is. Yeah, it's the hard thing, and every musician will say the same thing, it's hard to find time to get better. If you especially if you do this full time, being a full-time musician is like 20% about playing music and 80% about all the other stuff, the emails and the appearances and the travel and the master classes and all the different things that you do in social media is a full-time job.
It is a full-time job.
Posting and responding and creating content and doing all these different things. So oftentimes, right now we're leaving for my first solo tour, which starts the 19th, actually the day this comes out.
Yeah, the day this comes out.
Yeah, we'll be leaving on tour. The first show is that night. And I was just listening to the songs today. I was like, I haven't even played this one.
Oh, really?
So that's why we're doing all the sound design for my show today. We're setting up all like the synth tracks and all the different things that'll be going on. We have a really cool production planned.
Nice.
Which is really, I think that a live show should be as exciting as you can make it.
Yeah.
I'm learning from the WWE.
There you go.
And trying to make it as much of an experience as possible. So we're doing all the sound design today. We're at Guitar Center buying gear, and we're doing all that today.
Since you got well over what you thought you were going to get, right? From 20,000 you originally to ending up to 166. What does that 166 now help you do?
So now it increases the production, so where I would be going in a van, now I can go in a bus. Which is still shared by a lot of other people. It's not like super rock star status where I get my own bus or anything.
Right, but still it helps, and it helps your body.
Yeah, it helps your body. When you do that, we're doing 29 shows in 31 days.
Wow.
We have an absurd, because there's no singers on the tour. The only reason that bands take breaks really is for the singer.
Yeah.
So there's no singer on this. It's all guitar players on this tour. So we're doing 29 shows in 31 days. And
I hope I get to come see you.
I would, only if you introduce me.
Oh my God, absolutely. It is done. Absolutely.
I would love that. We're playing in LA on December 9th.
Oh,
here in town.
nice.
Yeah. And
yes.
And I will send you all the dates, but my website, nitastrauss.com, has all the tour dates. It's a full US run, so we're hitting just about every major market that we could get. We're starting 2 days after the record comes out, and we're getting home the day before Christmas.
Wow.
So we're doing as much as we possibly can. And then 2019, we'll see more touring as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, the extra Kickstarter, the extra money from the Kickstarter, it really gave us the ability to do things the way that we wanted to. We weren't, of course we still tried to be prudent. We're not throwing money around and wasting money. But I said, look, this guy is an amazing mixer. He charges more than I would have spent originally, but to make it sound as good as it can, let's do that, And also a lot of it went, I ended up taking a lot of stuff out of my pocket, with the Kickstarter, because we went over the goal. When we added the vinyl tier, for example, a lot of people that wanted to buy the vinyl had already pledged for a higher amount, and they're like, how can we add it? And I said, you know what? Because you guys supported me from the beginning, I will cover all the extra vinyl out of my pocket.
Oh, nice.
So anybody that got a pledge above the vinyl tier is automatically getting the vinyl, which I'm paying for.
Nice.
And that I felt like it was the least I could do, and it ended up being thousands and thousands of dollars.
Oh, did it?
But I was like, it really was the least I could do, I felt.
Yeah.
Like for the people that got in early and supported with a high pledge and said,
Right.
like, I'm willing to put more than $100 in towards this.
Yeah.
I felt it was like the least I could do to make it happen.
How was it signing all those?
Oh my gosh, I came from there before Guitar Center. That's where I was. I was down at the label signing all these
The cutest post that you made was when you were like, you show all bunch that you already did. You're like, and just when I thought I was done, you
There's a
flashed
whole
over.
wall. I know. Dun, dun,
Dun,
dun.
dun.
Yeah, I signed that day. I signed 1,000. And
Wow, that's a lot of
And by
autographs.
the way, I still have to go home and practice after this. With,
Oh my God, your hand.
My hands were dying.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right. And it was literally this moment of like, whew, well, I got that done.
Yeah.
There can't be much more left. And then I looked over and I'll send you the picture to link. It was like, oh, there. And I was like, how many more are left? And they're like, oh, I think there's about 1,600 in that pile. And I was like,
Oh my God, and you had to get them done that day?
no, I went back today and did more. And then I'm going back next week to finish. Like,
Wow.
because on top of the records, there's also 8x10s,
Yeah.
posters. The vinyls, thankfully, are not arriving till January. It takes longer to print them, so my hand will get a bit of a break.
Yeah, till
And then,
after the tour.
And then, at the end of the tour, then I'll sign the vinyls.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a
You
good
know what?
problem to
I was
have.
just going to say it's the best problem to have.
Best problem to have.
If my worst complaint is I had to sign too many of my CDs today,
Right,
boy, I'm
right.
lucky.
How was it does it put extra pressure when you were creating the music that you're like, I have so many people that believe in me, now I got to make sure that this is everything that they're hoping?
I wouldn't say pressure as much as anticipation. You know, like I feel like in my career in music, I've learned to replace that feeling of nerves with anticipation. So maybe it was deep down, maybe it was nerves and pressure, but I just got so excited because it's nice to have someone believe in you. You know, I went a long time in my life without having many people believing in me. You know, I would show up to shows and people automatically assume a female guitar player is not going to be as good. Mm-hmm. It's just the way that, you know, society has cultured people for a long time. Not so much now, but for a long time, you know, if you're a dude in a band and you show up, no one is ever going to assume, hey, that guy's probably not any good.
Right.
I imagine it's the same for female wrestlers. You know, if a girls match comes on the card at, like, say, an indie show, maybe not in WWE because that's such a high caliber, but if a girls match comes on the card at an indie show, I imagine a big percentage of the fan base is going, okay, well, let's see what they can do. You know, immediately doubting and saying, okay, you think you're good, prove something.
Right.
And that's hard to feel like you constantly have to prove something. So with this, it's kind of nice to say, you know what, they all believe in me and now I'm going to prove them right rather than I'm going to prove everybody wrong.
Oh, I love that.
You know?
Yeah.
Prove the supporters right.
Are you excited? Like, when it was done, did you feel like, oh my God,
I cried so much. I cried so much. It was like excitement and relief to have it finished because it was a lot of work and it was so emotional. It was a really emotional process because all my songs are about something. It's not a common misconception of instrumental music is that it's just, you know, notes that sound nice next to each other.
Yeah.
And it's really not the case, you know, with most instrumental music that I've ever listened to, and certainly not with mine. It's an emotional journey, you know, and each song has a story and a beginning, a middle, and an end, and they're all about things. Even the ones that sound aggressive and heavy metal, like, they're still about things.
Right.
They have a story to them, and to try to portray that emotion and get it across without using words was really challenging. But I listened back to it and I just couldn't stop smiling because I thought we really did it.
That
really
is so
nailed it.
awesome because there's so many people that will beat themselves up and then they're never happy with their product. And I remember when I got done with Quiero Vivir, my Spanish album, same thing, I was in Miami where I recorded it and I took a walk on the beach and I was crying the entire time with happiness. Such happiness, so proud of that record. And so it's nice to finish something like that and
You executed it.
Yeah.
You did it, you put your mind to it, and you executed it the way you wanted to.
Right. Oh my God. So Instagram always shows the happy pictures. Of
course.
Right? What would Instagram, if you were posting not so happy, what are the moments that you'd be posting? 'Cause everything seems so
it
perfect
does.
right now.
It does, and it is. It really is great. But you know, one thing that I struggle with a lot is I'm getting really tired. I'm getting really, you know, I don't like to use the term burned out, but I'm burning out. You know, I'm up until, you know, 1, 2, 3 in the morning getting things done, and then I'm up again at 6 or 7 going to the gym and doing all the other things, you know. We're doing worldwide press for this release, so sometimes I have to do phone interviews in the middle of the night, you know, getting up at 4 or 5 in the morning and doing this kind of stuff. And I have to find time to practice because my songs are really hard.
Right.
You know, I have to find time to get, you know, Josh is in my place is a disaster. You know, we were just talking about this literally this morning. He looked at me, he's like, after this tour is over, we have to get our life together. Because right now, you know, he has a really successful clothing brand, Beverly Kills, which I wear their stuff all the time. He works with an amazing meal prep company called Trifecta Nutrition, which, you know, that's the food that I eat on tour. And he manages my career. And, you know, between those three things, you know, his clothing brand, absolutely killing it, taking off. Johnny Depp is wearing his stuff.
Oh,
like
nice.
all these amazing, you know, like Stone Cold is wearing it. A lot of the wrestlers wear it, you know, and so his stuff is blowing up. My stuff is blowing up. Trifecta is killing it. They're partnering with UFC, like, you know, all this amazing stuff. So it's a great problem to have, you know, but sometimes I just stop and I think I am so tired.
Right.
I haven't done something I wanted to do in months.
Right.
I just got off a tour where I did 7 days a week for 6 weeks. I did 5 Alice Cooper shows and 2 guitar clinics a week for 6 weeks. And I didn't have a day off in 40-something days. But I will say this. I find that creating the look on the gram, I find that creating that reality helps me cope with it a little bit because you know that old saying, like, if you can pretend everything is fine, then it's fine.
Yeah.
You know, if I was out there posting every day, like the pity party of I'm so tired, I have so many problems, I forgot to pay my storage bill and now I have a late fee and whatever else, then I'm projecting this sort of like overwhelming, uncomfortable life. And if I'm putting it out there, I'm so happy, I get to do this, I get to sign all these CDs today, I'm so excited. You know, it's the difference of posting of, I'm so excited to sign 1,000 CDs today versus I have to sign 1,000 CDs and my hand is killing me.
Yeah.
What do you get to do versus what do you have to do?
I love that.
You know?
Yeah. But it is true. I know that even some people now, because they don't understand the grind, they haven't been there, they'll listen to this and go, oh, really?
Oh, that's so hard.
It's so hard,
of course.
Right? But until you live it.
That's true.
Until you live it, you don't really get it. And anything, I always say this, I don't care if it is your dream, if you're doing it 24/7 with no break and no balance, because I always talk about balance.
Yes.
It will run you where you go, oh my God, you can't even sometimes enjoy it because you're so tired.
It's true.
And it's because you're a human being, you're not a machine.
It's true.
You're not a machine.
It's so true.
I totally understand. And especially, like you saying, all the interviews and stuff.
It is. It's overwhelming. And it's funny because, you know, sometimes I think about a regular job and people work much harder than in theory, you know, like they do manual labor and do a lot more hard work than I do. But at the end of the day at 5 o'clock, they still go home and watch Netflix and do their stuff and hang out with their kids and all kinds of stuff. My business is Nita Strauss. You know, my credit card says Nita Strauss Incorporated on it. Nita Strauss is my job. And there is no off switch.
Right.
There's no off switch to it. So, you know, Josh and I are up, you know, until the middle of the night and early in the morning working on our business. And there's, you know, if you take time off from your own business, all you're doing is wasting time.
It suffers.
So
it suffers, but you have to, now I've realized that
we desperately have to.
You have to find a way to balance it because you can't keep this train up. You can't.
Right.
And then you won't enjoy it.
We have 4 days of vacation scheduled in January.
Oh, good. 4 days. Oh, my God. Really?
That's what we have. And then we come back and we prepare for the NAMM convention, the music convention here in California. So, but we did take those 4 days.
And I know you said that you're actually leaving here and you're going to something else. So I want to honor that. I do want to ask you because I asked you before, you know, has your chase for glory looked the way you thought it was going to look? But like this year, when you started at the beginning of the year, has this year looked the way you thought it was going to look? Because there's been a lot of surprises, I feel like.
There have been. Ever since I was young, I can't remember if we talked about this on the earlier episode, but ever since I was young, before I knew about The Secret and what visualization was and all the manifesting, I have always manifested things. Ever since I was doing gymnastics as a kid, I would get done with my, you know, with practice, and then I would go to bed at night and I would lay in my bed in the dark and close my eyes and I would visualize every step of the routine from warming up to going to standing, being next on deck to do my routine to looking at my coach. She would tell me when to go. Then I would go and I would acknowledge the judges. And then I'd do my routine. I would do a flawless routine. And then I would go back, and then I would wait, and then the judging would happen, and then I'd go up and I'd win the medal, and I'd stand on the podium.
Wow.
And I would go through all this mentally in my head in great detail from the time that I was like 5 or 6 years old.
Wow.
And it wasn't until I read The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday that I found out that this is a technique that Olympians do, that Olympic gold medalists do, that they visualize their routine, they visualize all this stuff. And in a much less specific way, I've been doing that my whole life. You know, I never had a plan B. I never had a regular job or went to college or did anything. I just thought, this is what I'm doing. Music is what I'm doing. So while I'm so grateful, I can't say that I'm too surprised, because this is what I've always wanted, what I've always been working towards, and what I've manifested my whole life. I'm about to be 32. You know, a lot of women my age are married, have family, have kids, you know, doing all this stuff. And I have put all of that to the side for this. You know, any musician that tells me, oh, you're so lucky that you get to do this. I am lucky, but luck is not everything. It's sacrifice and hard work and preparation. Exactly. I look at this, you know, someone will troll me and say, oh, you just got lucky because you're a pretty girl or whatever, and you get to do this. And I look at their Facebook page and I see a wife and 4 kids and a beautiful home. I go, yeah, you have all that stuff.
Right.
You don't have what I have because you have all those things.
Right.
You know, you didn't have to make the sacrifices that I did to get here to this point.
Right, exactly.
So it's a trade-off.
So how was it for you then to do the first ever all-women's pay-per-view at Evolution? That was so great to see you.
Oh my gosh, Evolution was, you know, as a woman in a male-dominated world that has kicked and screamed and clawed, to have respect, to watch it happen for those girls, you know, not that they're not respected in this day and age of modern wrestling, but to watch everybody have their own pay-per-view, you know, and I'm so glad you were there to be a part of it, because it wouldn't have been like, it wouldn't have been right. And I loved what we talked about backstage, and you were saying that when you were doing it, a lot of times you were the only woman in the building. Is that right?
Yeah, and the only woman
production
on the
side.
on the pay-per-view.
On the pay-per-view, yeah.
Yeah, I was the only female to
appear on camera.
Literally, to appear on camera. It was crazy.
Yeah. And the ones that did appear on camera were like wrestling and pudding and doing tampon matches.
And that's not even, that's what I'm saying, not even that. Like literally every match on the card during some of the pay-per-views were all men.
Right.
And then I'd sit there at ringside and I'm like, wow, I'm the only female
in this entire place.
This entire show tonight.
Right.
That the fans are seeing come out.
Yeah.
Crazy to then full, you know, there we are, all females, and you rocking it in the ring.
It was such an honor. Lizzie and I both said how much of an honor it was, you know, and Lizzie, a trailblazer, you know.
I got to get her on Chasing Glory.
You absolutely have to. I'll put you guys in touch.
Okay.
And I can't wait to hear that episode, because Lizzie has an amazing story. You know, they've been in Hailstorm. Lizzie and RJ have been Hailstorm since they were kids.
Wow.
They, you know, Hailstorm, this massively successful band that has sold millions and millions and millions of records, they have been Hailstorm since they were like 14.
Wow.
And she's older than me.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, to be doing this consistently like that, they've had the same band for like, you know, 15 years or something. It's absolutely amazing. But Stephanie McMahon took us aside, and Triple H had a lot of really amazing wisdom for us, but Stephanie took us aside before the show started, and she said, I just want you to know how much this means to us to have 2 strong females kicking it off for us.
Yeah.
And I told her, I said, Steph, we'll set him up, you guys knock him down. And she actually tweeted that, which is really cool.
Oh, that's cool.
But to have the opportunity to get people warmed up for that event, you know, to be the first thing that comes out and says and sets the tone, like, this is going to be loud, this is going to be rowdy, this is going to be kick-ass, and to execute properly, and it set the tone for that was really special for us.
And now you're getting ready to, well, by the time this airs, guys, you're going to see that she was on the panel for
NXT TakeOver.
They're
actually
awesome.
using my song for TakeOver for War Games. They're using my song Mary on the Trench, which is the song we shot the video for yesterday.
It's beautiful.
And and that was amazing in and of itself, you know, that Triple H heard my record before it came out and said, I want to use that song. This is the song we're going to use. And now getting to hear it on NXT, you know, I hear it as background music when they're talking, and I'm like, that's my guitar playing. Like, what planet are we on that this happens?
Right.
And it's just been insanely amazing.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations and continued success. Try to get a little, get an assistant.
We need one.
You need an assistant.
We need one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That way you can keep going because this is too much.
We do.
But
tell Josh.
Yes, I will tell Josh right now. For social media, remind everybody how to find you.
I'm Hurricane Nita on Twitter, Instagram, and Snap, and Nita Strauss on Facebook. And all my tour dates and everything, all the news and whatnot is on my website, nitastrauss.com.
And I can't wait to introduce you.
Oh, can I tell you what a career highlight that's going to be to hear you say my name? Even when you were just jokingly saying it earlier, I was like,
really? No. Man.
I cannot even express how excited I am.
That makes me feel so good. Thank you, honey. Thank you.
Thanks for having me on.
Chasing Glory with Lilian Garcia.
And this is why I continue to support Nita Strauss. Her journey, so inspiring. Not only is she just a hard worker, but she's also an unbelievable human being. So kind. And when I was at her CD release party last week, I actually got to witness a fan coming up to her and thanking her and saying, you know, someone who is making it like you, that has done so much throughout the years. It's already been on tour with Alice Cooper. And she's played in huge stadiums. And now she's getting, where her album's number 7 on the charts as of when I recorded this. So hopefully by now it's number 1. But he was just saying, you just seem so genuine and so approachable. And he goes, I thank you for that you won't let this get to your head. And she literally looked at him. She said, never. And I totally believe that. There are some people out there that they get a little glimpse of something good happening to them, and all of a sudden they feel and they act like they're better than anybody else. And I'm going to encourage all of you to not do that. If you start getting ahead in this life, please stay humble. Stay humble. That really is the secret to everything, because it keeps you grounded and it will make you connect with people even more. They will continue to want to help you more if you stay connected and not act like you're better than them, because you just maybe got a really, lucky where you were at the right place, right time. Now, I do agree that luck is when opportunity meets preparation, but not everybody that's prepared gets an opportunity. So what I'm saying to you is, if you're one of those that you are prepared when the opportunity comes and it all works out for you, beautiful. I think it's great, but stay humble. Don't act like you're better than anybody else. Trust me, you will feel better for it, and people will be wanting to be behind you when things come down, because I'm telling you, not everything is always going to go glorious at the top. So just stay humble. That is my main message that just kind of came out of me just now to share with all of you. So thank you, Nita Strauss, for coming back on Chasing Glory, and continued success in your journey. Can't wait to see you live on stage. And I tell everybody out there, go to nitastrauss.com to see her tour as far as where she's going to be close to your area. And let's just continue to empower each other. And I also want to thank my sponsors, Four Sigmatic. And don't forget that all you have to do for the percentage off is just go to foursigmatic.com/glory. Now, if you just go to foursigmatic.com, you're not going to get the discount. So you have to put /glory. And that's foursigmatic.com/glory. You'll get 15% off your entire order. And then FabFit Fun, FabFitFun.com. On the promo code, you put the word glory when you go to checkout. That's going to give you $10 off your box. Remember, it's a box of goodies for the women, and they also have one for the men. So go in there, get all the information, get your shopping done, all even before Black Friday. There you go. All right. So, hey guys. Thanks again for being with me. Thank you for following the show. Thank you for spreading the word. Thank you for subscribing, for your reviews. Keep them up. And remember to follow me at Lilian Garcia on Instagram and Twitter, and Lilian Garcia official fan page. Okay, I'm going to go off and have a little Four Sigmatic right now because I feel like a little mushroom coffee. All right, much peace, love, and passion, guys. I love you dearly. Remember to always be yourself and trust that it's enough. See ya.
Thanks for joining us here on Chasing Glory from executive producer Lilian Garcia. Don't forget to share this episode with your friends and be sure to subscribe at Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your favorite shows.